Welcome to part 2 of The Resistance.
Well, listening to you talking about India, I was thinking that's not accessible to everyone. So what would you suggest people here in the Western world that can't go on a pilgrimage to find the spirituality do over here?
There's things you can do here. You can do retreats here, obviously. There's different ones you can do. And we're looking to potentially do Vipassana style retreats here anyway. But until that happens, I think there's a few key things. Like it's been said that being challenged in everyday life, like you can go and meditate in a cave or go to certain places, and there's no doubt be some amazing experiences with those sort of things. It's been said that day-to-day living is the greatest test, and it's the fastest way you'll grow on some level, because you face daily with challenges. But with retreats, there's benefits to retreats because you're getting out of your routine, and there's something in that. So it's a good way to create a new pattern, a new way is to change your environment. So, but I feel that the starting point is obviously willingness, and I feel, we talk about clowning around and a few different things, but I feel the most important thing and is self-nurturing, like above all else, because it's amazing that you're talking about resistance. Nothing brings up the resistance and self-worth issues like self-nurturing. It's crazy how the mind works. We're conditioned to grow up to think we need to have the car or the house or the marriage or whatever it is, and then at that point, depending on what you have self-worth. But that never fills a void. Like I've had when I had a business at one point, it was going really well, and I didn't feel whole in that time, in that moment. I was still seeking. I still wanted more. And even on the spiritual journey, I questioned, when you're having these things, why at times you still have certain emotional reactions that you think, I shouldn't be having this now. What's going on? And I feel, so we're conditioned from a very young age that peace and fulfillment on some level comes from outside, from accumulating outside things, accumulating things ultimately. So like people might set a target. It's like, I'll do the shopping, I'll do this, I'll earn this, or I'll do certain things in the backyard, or I'll do this in the kitchen, or whatever it is, I'll clean the house. And at the very end, at the very end of doing these things, I'll have a rest. I'll maybe have a 10-minute break or do something I want for half hour or an hour. And that often those things are a distraction. You might sit down and watch TV, that doesn't really give you insight depending on what you're actually watching. So I feel like we're having to earn externally the right to internally find peace. And I feel that's wrong. I feel like it's great to earn things. Don't get me wrong. It's great to appreciate things, and when you have to work towards something, then you feel a sense of, then you really appreciate it rather than taking it for granted. Yeah. But how often do we all earn something? You want to get the job, get the promotion, and then you get there. You don't spend time. You might spend a day, if you're lucky. Yeah, I got it, and then you can't. That impacts you for a while because you're feeling excited, but then before you know it, you're looking to the next thing. And I just think, I really feel that earning the right to nurture yourself, I feel you earn that in how you are within yourself on a daily basis. I feel you earn the right by where you're sitting yourself and how you hold yourself ultimately, and where your thoughts are. I feel the more integrity you have, the more right you have to nurture yourself, and to actually, that can be misunderstood. I feel like if you're suffering, it doesn't matter where you stand, you have as much right to nurture yourself as anyone else. I just feel the more you nurture yourself, the more you get in touch with how you're feeling. And if you're suffering, you can't say someone that's sitting well in themselves, that has integrity, has more right than someone else to sit in meditation or silence or peace. Everyone has as much right, but I feel the resistance when you're within yourself, within your thinking that I should be mowing the lawn or I should be doing other things, I don't have time for this. The guilt that arises within you when you nurture yourself, that's a sign that you should be nurturing yourself more. And this is the part of the resistance I'm talking about. It's feeling that you're not worthy. We seek outside of ourselves the sense of feeling worthwhile, worthy. And when are we going to start accepting and seeking it from ourselves first? We forget about our own self-worth, our own feelings. We check in with them and we trust the fact that we don't feel worthy. And we think if someone recognizes, laughs at our jokes or does something or appreciates us, then we will start believing it. But we need to stop validating it. Enjoy your time with others, but we really have to nurture ourselves no matter what. And if there's resistance or guilt, then it means that there's a wall to break through. So instead of thinking, oh, well, yeah, I took 15 minutes, next time I'll make it 5. Like, why limit getting in touch with how you're feeling? Because the only way, in my experience, that you can work through anything is to truly get in touch with how you're feeling. And I feel self-nurturing can be easily mistaken for distraction.
Yep.
And before, before you start unraveling anything within or seeking answers, you must reflect on yourself or certain experiences, on your life or whatever it is. If you don't reflect the self-inquiry. If you don't do that, you don't get a sense of a new perspective, because if we are suffering, our old perspective is locking us into suffering. So we have to try and look at it from a different point of view. We have to try and unravel and work out why and where we are encased. So the Vipassana is a great way because you're in silence.
Yep.
And there are no distractions. So it forces things to the surface. So I feel whatever practice you want to do, and there's many ways, if it brings things up for you, then you're on the right track. And then the other point is just don't be in too much of a hurry, because don't try and, it's like getting a bucket load of dirt from the ground. If it's overwhelming and too much that comes up at once, then it can create so much emotional turmoil. So try not to bite off more than you can chew. And I feel just spend time with yourself, and if a little bit of stuff comes up, just go, okay, what's stopping you? And that's when you need to write down the things your mind's telling you in that very moment. And even if it's subtle, and you become more and more aware of the subtleties of thought, and you just have to keep at it. Like, truly within your heart, no one wants to harm anyone. No one truly does, I don't feel, not if you're in touch with your heart. And this whole thing, spirituality, is all about getting in touch with your heart. So if you don't check in, it's impossible. It's just a distraction. It's just an idea of getting in touch. Ideas can create massive suffering. You have to do the work. Yeah. And so the resistance ultimately is definitely, it's a sign that something's changing. There's resistance. Like, if there's no resistance, change would be easy. And I feel like changing how you are and how you think and how you feel, and bringing about more joy into your life, it'd be easy if there was no resistance. I feel like it has to be earned in a way, Yeah. Like when I first came to Perth, had a contract playing football, and I've had my struggles. And when I came back to Perth, I went back to New South Wales. I got a contract with Balmain, and for the second half of 95. And then I came back to Perth in 99 with my girlfriend, and I went through a patch where things were a bit hard, and I just felt in my mind, it's like, well, I've got to earn it. And the voice in my head was, you've got to earn it. You've got to be genuine. And I just believed that maybe within 2 years, this is my gut feeling was things will start changing. And it did. So I feel it's amazing how, this is my experience, even at times when I was suffering, and this is probably going a different tangent, so I don't know if I'll include it or not, but I feel when you're suffering, or when I have suffered, there's been a willingness to, or like a calling out, going, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? And in my voice, like within my mind's eye or my intuition, at times it has said to me, just hang in there, just hang in there. And I feel when you're suffering, instead of gripping on tighter, you have to be prepared to let go. And that's when something can come through. I've had a number of profound experiences where instead of holding on tighter, it's like holding on to something that's hurting you, burning your hand. You know, tighten your grip, you loosen your grip because something's not doesn't feel right. And I feel anytime you truly seek, things or possibilities can open up.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that answer that question?
In a roundabout way.
I feel like a ramble. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like because I mean, I'm in a real spacious ramble. Like, I feel like it's that wasn't really a direct answer. I'm not sure if I'm going to even stick with that. I feel like I'm just.
Well, it was definitely not a direct answer, that's for sure. But I mean, you did still touch on many aspects of it there. But I was thinking more in the way of tools. Like I was thinking, because I'm looking out the window here and I'm looking at nature, and I'm thinking, you know, nature is obviously a huge tool, but that we can use it. But most people aren't, first of all, aware that it is a tool that we can use, and second of all, if they do realize it's a tool, how do they use that tool? How do they use a tool of nature to connect spiritually?
Yeah. Okay. So anyone that goes and spends time in nature, that's drawn to nature, knows it's like a tool is probably a huge understatement. It unravels. It overwhelms you, and you fall into. It brings down your walls without you doing anything, and you feel lighter anyway. So it's I'd say more than a tool. It's an experience that has so much to offer. And what I'm really talking about is trying to fall into the experience of getting in touch with how you're feeling. And the reason, obviously, nature is really, really amazing is because it naturally unravels your thoughts. You forget about the small stuff. As I say, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't always feel like that, of course, but like you forget. Like I've mentioned before, it's what's it take to suffer? You must constantly remind yourself that you're suffering to constantly suffer. And when you're captivated by beauty, you forget that you're suffering. You know, even if you meet a girl or a girl meets a guy, you're captivated by something within you. And even if you're struggling at the time, or if something happens, it's like the potential of something more, or their beauty, or their way, or whatever it is. All of a sudden, your thoughts and everything, the despair you may have been lost in, all of a sudden you forget that for the potential of something more. So what I'm offering is, or my understanding is being open to that potential for something more, because it could be right around the corner. So I feel the self-nurturing, which is just like nature, it's dedicating time to get in touch with your feelings, your emotions, and I'd really feel it's when you don't look into that emotion, if you blindly believe the emotion or the feeling, that's the entrapment. And because it's amazing, as soon as you feel something, the mind would justify it or blame another. And straight away that starts solidifying those feelings. And everything that I'm about is just, you might get a reaction, initial reaction, but don't just blindly believe it's true. Like it's just, awareness is the only thing that'll set you free, awareness and understanding. So there are definitely tools or experiences that can take pressure off. And in those times, you can really start discovering how you feel, how you think, how you'd like to feel and think, and start making inroads towards that direction. And I feel, it's not all just about unraveling and seeing through your pain. It's about taking time to see how you're feeling and how you want to feel, because you have a choice. You can, can make decisions to bring about change. And that's where I feel with certain anxieties and certain feelings within that I don't like naming and saying, I have this or I have that. It's under what are the parameters that you have, like a trouble focusing or attention deficiency disorder or all these things. And I'm not saying, it's if you're interested in where you're focusing, your attention is there. And if something, at school, I wasn't interested in certain school things, and I failed my HSC, So I had a lot of issues growing up as a teenager, but then I did my diploma in clinical hypnosis. And so someone outside looking in will go, well, you can't do that. You're not qualified. You're not intelligent enough.
Mm.
But I had passion. I wanted to learn. I wanted to discover how to enhance my thoughts and my way and unravel things. So the passion over, like, that's what guided me.
Yeah.
Was the passion, and the interest followed. And therefore I could focus and learn theories. Part of the course, you learn theories of psychology. And typically, so failing the HSC, it's a story for another time. But I had brain fog in my senior years, and I got lost in my misery and suffering. But wasn't that long after that. I was 18, finished my HSC in New South Wales, and by the time I was 21 playing rugby league, I passed my diploma in clinical hypnosis. So anything's possible if you have passion and focus and interest. And I just really feel that when you say this is just how I am, then that's just how you're going to be. I just, and the healing, you've known me, I do healing aspects and done some very interesting things in healing, but because I believe in the potential of things.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything's exactly how it is or how it's meant to be in this moment, maybe, but why not decide to have a choice or be open to possibilities of a choice? So, but if you believe something, it will never change. And if you say this is just how I am, that's why I'm not big on stereotypes and that sort of thing. Discover your character and use that to change yourself to something more.
Yeah. Yes, no, I think that's awesome. A nice rounding off for the end of that one.
Thanks. Since I rambled a bit all over the place, where's this guy going?
No,
that's make sure it sounds okay. But
just wanted something that people can focus on specifically on doing themselves. Like I thought, if they go out in nature, might be a good start. But I think you brought it around nicely with is saying wanting to. I mean, the fact that you want to and having a yearning to, that is key in actually starting the journey, isn't it?
That's the fuel. The wanting to is the fuel. Yep. So otherwise the car won't start.
Exactly.
Or just not believing that you can. It's like getting in the car, not believing the car will start. Even if it's an old bucket, like a crappy car, and backfires and everything, if you believe it will start and you're looking forward to the journey, by the time you arrive, the car's fully revved up, But it's just knowing that it'll kick over, and even if it may not get me 100, more than 100 meters down the road, you're 100 meters further along the path of where you want to go.
Yeah.
So taking a step is better than taking no step, and it starts with an idea and then a belief, and then as you put momentum into both those things, you build more and more of a momentum, and then in the end you can't. To stop is not an option because it becomes so enjoyable. In your experience, in my experience.
Oh, yeah. So. It's been amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening in to part 2 of The Resistance.